Alright, can everybody hear me now? The open broadcast software had a little bit of an issue there, but it's all good now, I think. Just waiting for confirmation that you guys can hear me and the stream is going. At which point I will begin the rant. Fluidity teaser. Of course, it's something related to the liquid voxels, water and lava and such. It's been talked about for a while. It's something that the voxel folks have been showing off for a bit, so hopefully it'll go pretty soon. We'll actually have water, but to what extent, what the context will be, I don't know. All right, so it's time to get going with the show. I'm gonna take off chat for just a second here. Welcome to the landmark live feature rant, episode 3. Now I've got a lot of stuff to cover. I'm going to be talking about Cactus and sheet metal and salvage and compound selection tool features and community group stuff. It'll be great. So I'm going to start with the images here, the weekly images. Click on over. So my awesome pick. This is creating a lot of pick envy among even the developers. It is awesome. I can just go AFK, digging straight down, come back and have 50k resources, 25k dirt, and 25k stone when I come back. It's totally awesome. This thing is so powerful. I get so much elemental whatever that I've got 2 to 3 times as much as I need. And plus, because I've got +7 discovery from my accessories, I can just plow through whatever. I get mad amounts of that essence of earth and coal. I've actually got 39 sticks of dynamite. I'm probably going to play with those later tonight. Right, this one, happy little euphorb over here. It's not a cactus, it's a euphorb, and I'm going to tell you why. That's actually the first discussion subject, but I'll get back to that. It's a distance shot of my little island. Had a silly tower thing next to it, but I didn't like it, so I got rid of it. A little closer, a little closer. This was my old claim, actually. I destroyed that and started completely from scratch. So that's a little bit more of what I've been working on now. There it is. Hope the stream is still coming through okay. Yeah, it looks like it is. Chat, however, is having some issues, I think. Could somebody say something? Because I haven't seen chat update in a little bit here. Other than stuff that I've said. If I don't see anything by the time I get to the cactus, I'm just going to refresh Twitch real quick. So, oh, cool. Alrighty then. Cool, thanks. Empty Stunner, I actually really like your claim. I checked it out a few days ago. It's really good work on there. I like it a lot. So, yeah, this is the some of the interior from the claim. Here, I'll go back for a sec. Where the tin pattern ends on those corners, that kind of edge there is actually where you can climb in. So this is what you see inside, and I've actually put some further work into it since then. Oh yeah, silly thing that I had happen. I was trying to make some giant tree thing, and I keep pasting one of these sections on it, and it just wrecks it. It causes that to happen. The things get inverted and wacky. So I've just left it as is, so the devs can play with it and investigate it for themselves. That's what actually ends up happening. It takes the basically a flat plane of the material below the tile of granite or whatever, and puts it up there instead, which is just hilarious. All right. So I've added some more things. There's actually now 2 extra islands, and I made some little marble clouds. Just having some fun with it, adding to the clay, making it look a little more awesome and like, tier 3 floating altar sort of thing. If you use a grappling hook, you can actually get all the way from the bottom to the top. I've designed it so that it's nice and friendly for people, even if you've got a lower level grappling hook. So here's another shot of it. This is standing on the lowest one, looking at the top one, and the other one, the one with some dirt and some stone, all that going on. You can see more of the little marble clouds. And here's a couple of runes. I actually took these from the John VDC, how you doing? Asphyx, how you doing? I should say hello to everybody I see here. Drac, Shadow Song 80, Rect 1, Toronto Tigs, Ibophobia, I think I didn't butcher that, Diggs, Top Geared, Bad Viking. I think that's everybody so far. Thank you everybody for joining the show. And of course, if you want to retweet it out or do something else to get some other folks in here, that'd be totally cool. So anyway, back to the images. Alright. So, cactus. Actually, no, it's not a saguaro cactus. I've looked at it and I've gotten some expert advice from somebody who knows better. And no, it's just another euphorb. What the hell is a euphorb? What is the euphorbia, euphorbiaceae family of stuff? What the hell am I talking about? I'll tell you in a moment. See, there's a better shot of it. That's it's pokey, but it's the wrong kind of pokey, and it's missing some other features. It's not cactus. I don't even remember what this was a picture of. So, cactus, like I was saying. This is my first subject for the day here is cactus. Now, cactus are a very particular type of plant. They have the the flower and the fruit. That's less what I'm interested in. It's more look at the stickers themselves. There's first of all the aerial, the very center of it, where the spines come off of. Beyond that, there's the central spine, which is the main pokey gougey thing, as well as some radial spines coming off the sides. In addition, there's some little fuzzy spiny stuff called glockids, which are around the aerial, which further kind of help protect it. Now, all of these things are because out in the desert, there might be a lot of other plants around, there might not, depending on the type of desert. But what ends up happening is they're plants that survive by sticking around for a long time, absorbing a lot of water, having real thick, waxy coating to them, and they need these thorns and spines and everything in all these different directions to ward off various different types of things that would prey on it or use it as a home or something. Something that would end up destroying it. So, going back now, after that little mini science lesson on what a cactus is, take a look here. What do we see? Glockids? Do we see aerials? Do we see any of those radial spines? No. No, 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 no. Categorically, this is not a cactus. This is actually a euphorb, or that would be the best guess for me, which is more or less like a fake cactus-y sort of thing. There's some fake cactus looking stuff that ends up going in that category. So I recant all of my previous statements about all my haterade and everything about having the cactus in as the symbol of the desert in this game, that you could just put it in any biome and automatically it's the desert. Because you know what, that that doesn't really hold true anymore, because there is no cactus in EverQuest Next Landmark, not one single bit. I would recommend going with like Silver Choya or Beaver Tail. Those things are lovely, and they're there's a lot more environments where I would expect to see them, even more dry and arid kind of settings. So, off with the image viewer. Hello, everybody. And now it's time to get rolling with the next subject here. Nerathian cactus. Yeah, no, that is once again, that's not a cactus. That's a euphorb. That's euphorbaceae. Mm. Homebrewed American stout. This one's been on the shelf for a long time, months and months and months, and it is just absolutely prime. We still have some around. Uh, I'm gonna bring some awesome beer for Locke and Fu when they have their wedding and the following celebration at SOE Live. It might be this. It might be something a little bit more like home, but I'll figure it out. It should be something really nice for him. Hat on, indeed. Peyote. Yeah. Yeah, well, we haven't even, like, the idea of various types of intoxicants and hallucinogens. Well, I should even have a rant about that. Um, Actually, I kind of talked about that a little bit in the first rant, talking about camera filters and stuff. Peyote or salvia divinorum, or, LSD or shrooms, various different things, various different hallucinogens, seeing fractals on walls and various different shapes and stuff, having the perspective of the camera chain, or not the perspective, but the aperture, the the shape of the lens basically changing, and maybe potentially fluctuating. Um, Obviously colors changing, things being appearing there and appearing interactable that totally aren't there, various silly things like that. Yeah, good one, Asphyx. And a nice little mini rant out of me on that one. All right, so I've talked about cactus or the lack thereof. Next subject: sheet metals, plates, panels. Okay, so I'm going to pull back up the image viewer for a moment, and we're going to go back to that shot of my claim. Now, I like, some of the look of the claim. Unfortunately, the current look of it's weird with the cobalt pushing over into the copper, and the copper and tin not really blending very well. I mean, I'm fine with it looking like that if I was doing something more natural and organic looking, but I want this to look more manufactured. So, uh, basically, what I would be looking for is some way to do either like a sheet metal where it's just solid, handcrafted looking metal, or just looks like a solid chunk, or otherwise being able to do like plates, or something that's got like a pattern to it, but it comes to nice fine cuts and angles and everything, so that way it doesn't bleed over into other things and other things don't bleed over into it. Another thing I'd like to have is glass. Glass is another material that they talked about some of the materials coming up on the live stream. I don't remember if glass was actually mentioned or not, but something that's actually transparent or at least translucent would be absolutely wonderful. Being able to use that to make things where there's a display where you can't actually get up to it, but you can, get close and kind of look through the glass at it. Um, all of my structures are solid. I have absolute gigantic shit tons of stone. Like I went AFK digging straight down with my mouse and the something on the W key, and I got about 500,000, a 250,000 stone, and a 250,000 dirt, which I threw all through the nicer sifter. I got the level 2 sifter finally on my claim, so if you need to sift anything, that's the place to go. But no, my stuff isn't hollow at all. It's solid, but it's solid stone. Palace. I start when it's cool, and by the time it's finished, if it's warm, that's totally fine. The only beers that I don't drink warm are just like the real, piss beer chuggers or whatever that don't taste good when they get warm. But this will do just fine getting above 55 degrees. Fahrenheit, not Celsius. I wouldn't. Celsius doesn't. That would make sense. Beer tea. All right. So those are. Yeah, that's exactly one of the specific reasons Shadow Song is also that we don't have any modern or sci-fi looking materials, and that would be really nice. But even not even in the context of modern or sci-fi, just having something that's um, basically just a solid material, little to no texture at all to it, and it's just the one, the color and the reflectiveness of that metal, wherever it's painted on is going to look like that. That's really what I would be looking for. But something else beyond that is right now blended versus non-blending. Right now, I don't know which materials want to blend with which ones, and there's no way to toggle them to not blend with other ones and just to either line up perfectly or even to try to have what looks like a gap between them, even though they're flushed together. So I don't really know how that would work, or if there is some way that we could see a blending tree to see what materials it blends with, because a lot of the stuff, a lot of the stone that I'm using, things will blend with it when I don't necessarily want it to. And likewise with the ores, when I'm working with those really just go all over the place on each other, and there's hardly any control. No matter how clean I tried to do it, they still seem to blend and bleed over, and it would take a hell of a lot more material if I was going to try to do it with solid material all the way through, rather than just painting the surfaces, which is the point of the paint tool. Yeah, so that's something that I'm really uh, not sure about what they're going to do with, but I'd love to have a feature where materials can simply be toggled, um, blended or non-blended, or otherwise maybe sorted or categorized in such a way that which ones will blend with things and which ones won't blend with things. So you can use certain materials that will stay independent from everything else. Like I'd love to use a sort of wood that always look like it's separate from whatever stone or whatever metal it might be affixed to, but it'll make flush, clean connections with stucco and other wood. Um, I haven't messed with marble yet, other than the clouds that I made, the little marble fluffy cloud things. And I should probably make some more of those. Those are fun to try to grapple between. Yeah, actually, that's what I was thinking. Ingots for sheets would be great. Um, like the way I was thinking about it would be maybe every ingot gives you 10 or 20, so it isn't a perfect return. But of course, having the plates would make it look a hell of a lot prettier than raw material that's bleeding all over the place and looking nasty. Yeah, that would be absolutely lovely. That's something I thought about too. How they actually implement it, whether it's going to be just using the raw material and having it look like sheets, or actually crafting it as a separate material. We shall see. We haven't really seen much in the way of materials you actually have to craft to work with, other than props. But props. They're not materials. Hmm. Oh, Thanks, Toronto. To patch notes are up. Could you post a link? I'll go over those when we're finished. Because I have a couple more things here to cover. Um, so they talked a little bit about trying to work the salvage system out. Now, salvaging is a cool idea. I don't know how they're planning to implement it, but one thing I do think would be nice is a resalvage or a recrafting feature. Thanks, everybody. So what it would be is taking, say, 2 to 5 of the same type of item, say copper axes, and it will not only take the best stats from all of those and fill them in for the categories, but it will also um, potentially add more to the stats of that item. Or if you put enough items into it, it'll give you the best stats on one and then the second best stats on two, or something close to the best stats on a second one, and the other three are just destroyed, and maybe a few materials are restored or recovered from incomplete ones. So there would be a way to take it would essentially be the idea of modular parts, but you just don't see the modular parts. Like, let's say the wood is responsible for the speed, and the metal is responsible for the damage. So we wouldn't necessarily see the modular parts of the item, but it would be the best, two blades and the best two axes or handles rather, and in the group of five or whatever. And if in the process of it trying to resalvage any of those gets destroyed, it moves to the next one down in the quality list or something. I don't know. It's totally up to them. It's just one suggestion on how they could potentially implement it to make it a little more awesome. But I would like to see the salvage system where there's not just getting a little bit of the material back from things you don't like, but actually being able to get um, something a little bit better, or being able to hedge for better equipment from worse pieces of equipment, because you might be like, well, one of them's blue, one of them's green. I could salvage them both and have the materials to give one more throw, or I could try combining them together and seeing maybe they'll give me a better chance. So it's just another way for the player to, try to customize their equipment and improve their gameplay experience. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, throwing away copper axes does kind of make me sad. Uh, Actually, the funniest thing, when I first started, I made 15 stone picks thinking, wow, I'm going to get me a legendary stone pick. No, they're all the exact same stats, and I didn't realize that until I made 15. What I also didn't realize was until about 6, 7, maybe 8 days into the alpha here, we weren't actually able to throw away or delete stone picks. So I had a bunch of these stupid stone picks filling up my inventory. I couldn't do anything with them. I just put them in the vault, and eventually, when they got the feature, and I think it was when they determined salvage was broken, that they just put the trash can in, that I was finally able to get rid of them. Just hilariousness. But these are things that happen in alpha. It's going to be a lot more polished, of course, when the game comes out. So it's fun to laugh about these things now, knowing the developers know about them. They're, actively working to fix these things. Hmm. So the select tool, it's kind of cool, but it's also kind of really limited. Like, I'd like to be able to select a large volume and then do other things with it, such as apply the heal tool to that area or fill it with a specific material. Deleting that area, that's kind of cool, but unfortunately, that's really, copying and deleting are the only two things you can do with it. So being able to fill the entire volume that I've selected with one particular material, that would be one really lovely feature to have. but also being able to use it with a heal tool would be wonderful, because there's still places in my claim I can't heal because the tool itself is wonky. A select entire claim button, Shadow Song, yes, that would absolutely be wonderful. Um, and then even beyond that, being able to zoom out and select multiple claims, like if you've got 8 claims you're trying to select at once, you would be able to kind of see them on a giant grid and just be able to click at all of them. That would actually be a great feature. I'd love to see that too. Drac, how can I use the select tool for healing and filling? I haven't been able to figure that one out. Well, he's getting back with that. The other thing I want is a magic wand, something where I can select a particular material, and I can either select just the little connected piece of it, or all of the places where that material exists on my claim. So I can just magic wand one time and grab all of the stone. If I click delete, well, I reclaim all of that stone, or at least as much as it'll allow me to. I'll have to figure out that select tool stuff. I've never been able to get that to work, but I guess I do see the select tool sometimes lingering where I don't expect it to. I thought that was a bug. So if that's actually how you can use tools with it, I'll definitely have to mess with that sometime after the stream. Um, then I guess what I want is for the UI person who they're looking to hire to do a really good job showing off those features. I would apply for that position myself. I know Flash. I don't know scale form, and I don't know Flash well enough that I feel like I can overcome the lack of knowledge of scale form to take it on. If any of you are UI developers out there with experience with Flash and scale form, you want to go work on EverQuest Next Landmark, jump on it. There's the career position is out there. I will totally give you my recommendation. I will shout at SOE on a camera, in my classic style, as a recommendation to help you get on the team there. So you just let me know. Okay. So one other thing that I'd like to have is a material browser. Um, Basically, or I guess a shapes on material browser sort of thing, where I can, let's say, select one material and then click on a selection of different objects, or buttons for different types of objects, and see what that material actually looks like on those different types of objects and the different surfaces. So you can see what the material looks like on, just a cube at normal angles. You can see a 45-degree angle, a 60-degree angle, all the various arbitrary angles. Um, Being able to see what it looks like on a curved surface, on an archway, on a sphere, on a detailed, statue or something like that, or a teapot is something that the 3D modeling community really loves. Uh, Various different shapes and such, so one can actually see how it actually works with it. And then on top of that, I'd love to be able to have an additional feature to be able to select 2 or 3 materials and see how they work on those surfaces next to each other. So you can either set it to noise mode, where it'll just kind of randomize and intersperse all 3 of the materials, or you can do slices, which basically it'll do your Neapolitan ice cream, your one segment of chocolate, your one segment of vanilla, your one segment of strawberry, so you can see how the 3 materials blend together. Let's say once again on a sphere, on a ramp, on a cube, on dragon statue, whatever material, whatever surface you're actually trying to work with, all the different angles, so that way somebody can know if something's going to look good or if it's going to look like absolute bleh at that angle. So, in looking through Twitter, I saw something from Mr. Dave Mark, the guy from the Storybrick stuff, and he was saying about having developed a twitch in his hand from all of the mining and harvesting he's been doing. And yeah, it sucks for people who have a mouse, a standard conventional mouse, who are trying to mine and harvest. Having a lovely trackball here, I actually don't need to hold my hand on the mouse while I'm harvesting something. I just need to get it engaged, and then I push this water bottle on top of it on the mouse button, and it does the rest of the work for me. Um, it's really pretty convenient. So I recommend, if anybody's having any issues with harvesting for right now, maybe consider a trackball. There's that one. There's the one I showed. You're not going to find locally anywhere unless you live in Asia. So I would recommend the Logitech MX570. Do I have it over here? It might still be in my laptop bag. But yeah, that thing gets the job done. I love it. Um, there you go. Nostromo. Yeah, that works. I mean, I'd really love to see them actually put in a feature for like an auto harvest or a lock-on harvest, and then something that somebody can actually potentially level up into, or put points in or something, so that way they can say, if there's this cluster of trees here, you can say, okay, a line from here to here to here to here to here, and then you just have it automate. They'll start with this tree, and then they'll go to this tree, and this tree, and then this tree, and then this tree, and then once they're finished cutting down all of those things, if you haven't extended the path, they'll stop. But if you've extended the path to the next tree or the next vein that you're trying to dig up, um, it'll keep going that way. Now with mining, you might still have to guide the mouse around, versus with trees, it'll just try to lock on the tree and just hack away at it. Yeah, Shadow Song. That's I do the forward and left click to tunnel, like I was saying. Uh, 500,000 material, 250,000 stone, and 250,000 dirt. I put it through the sifter on my claim, which, by the way, is east of Serenity Scarp Gate. If you want to use all of the crafting stations there, I have them all there now. Um, so yeah, I was able to generate a whole lot of bags of material that way. Black terrain bug. I've never heard about that one. I mean, I've heard about the black terrain bug in as much as there's an issue with the graphics card sometimes, and maybe if the cache file is filled up, which sometimes it'll just get big and big and bigger and bigger. My cache files for Landmark got to about 80 gigs, so I had to delete some of that and make some space, because damn, that's a lot to put on SSD. I didn't know harvesting trees is faster if you click it, but I don't really want to click it. I have a fast axe, so I don't have to click it. And I have over 7 discovery on my ring, so I don't have to spend nearly as long. It only takes me maybe with the new changes, it takes me an hour and a half or so to get 50 burled wood planks. And most of that time I'm actually spending AFK. It's just Every now and then I adjust which tree I'm chopping at. It's maybe about 20% AFK actually. Yeah, the black everything bug, that's a graphics card thing, I believe. I don't work there in the tech department, so I cannot make a confirmed declaration, but that's um, that's what I understand it to be. It can be an older graphics card. It could be just not having the system requirements. Maybe the drivers are out of date. Whatever. Could be anything. So I did do some tunneling down. Um, Funny stuff. So you start digging, and then it gets, it doesn't get much darker once you start getting down a ways until it gets to a point where I just kind of found blackness for a while. But I didn't find that blackness until first going through a thick layer of fog. So I started, and it was a lot of dirt for a while. And then after that thick layer of fog hit, eventually I started hitting stone. Then a little ways into that stone, it went all the way black, just pitch black. Can't see anything. Can't even see the blue glowies off of rares I get. I was still getting stone though. I kept getting stone. Then I stopped getting stone, started getting dirt again. Then a little ways into that, it went back to the thick fog. And this is like well over halfway through going, down through the world at this point. Um, and I keep on going. It's still dirt. It's still dirt. It remains dirt for a while. Um, and then at that point, no, I didn't try a light stone, but I kept on going. And then eventually it became pretty much opaque, grayish blue, like a dark grayish blue. Other people have repeated seeing other things like red in those areas, or they've gone down far enough to see red. And yes, Toronto Tigs, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm pretty sure that's the tier 2 and the tier 3 areas and stuff. We aren't going to be able to access those for a little while, of course, but once we do, there's a tool called a pulverizer, which they're going to make available. Now, what a pulverizer does, apparently, and they've talked about this in the tooltip for the game, or not the tooltips, but the loading page tips, is that it doesn't destroy material, it doesn't collect material, it just exudes straight down. It just digs, straight down, pulverizing through material. The pulverizer, that's what it does. So you can, that's I'm guessing gonna be the tool for getting from tier 1 to tier 2 quickly, or tier 1 to tier 3 potentially. But we'll see how that actually works. Also, we'll see if it's just a benign little stone that we'll see all the way down. If we're going to see much tougher, more resilient materials, or even ones that can actually harm us, like hot magma rock or something. When we start getting down to tier 3, that would require additional uh, um, equipment or defenses or something to be able to actually collect without getting killed. I know the meteorite and some other materials in Terraria get kind of nasty because they will cook you if you stand on them without the proper equipment. Alright. So, costumes in the inventory versus an unlock style system. Now, what I'm talking about is right now we have our various different costumes, and they're items. They're items that take up space in the inventory. That's cool, I guess, but if you're going to have materials not take up space in the inventory, I don't see why clothing should take up space in the inventory either. Now, DCUO has a system that I really love for the character aesthetics. You get to choose all the different parts, the head and the shoulders and the chest and the legs, boots, arms and hands, and belt, and maybe a couple other things. And those are all your different aesthetic things. Now, when you equip an item, you unlock that aesthetic permanently, or you can just find places where you can buy the straight aesthetic unlock. And also, as an achievement in the game, as you unlock more aesthetics, you gain skill points because you're completing the achievement stuff. So that's kind of cool, and it's good to be a completionist in that way. Um, So instead of having to actually have the thing, the thing that looks the certain way equipped, I'd like to see it done in such a way that you can just unlock the stuff, and then it's just something that you select from, and then maybe based on the type of equipment you have, if they're going to delineate in the classic cloth leather nail plate sort of thing, then depending on which type of equipment you're wearing, you're going to have that set of aesthetics to work with. Your chest will only be, if you're wearing a plate chest, you can't wear the cloth aesthetics, though you might have some sort of over garb of some sort that you can wear over it that hides the fact that you're wearing heavy plate. Um, I've seen some of the aesthetic stuff that they have for EverQuest Next, and it had some real boob plate action. Like, oh yeah, here's the character fully armored, and then you can adjust the shoulder pads, and then you can make her, all boob platey and cleavagey. It's like, wow, continue the legacy of Everbreast, why don't you? So I know that obviously people are going to want to make sexy characters, and they're going to cater to that, of course. But um, it's really I'm hoping that the aesthetics are actually done in such a way that it isn't something that you hold in your inventory, so much as something that you unlock and then you just have access to when you're wearing the appropriate type of equipment by which you would have that appearance for it. And that includes colors too. You wouldn't have, if somebody decides to make some tacky, pink and green sweater or something that just has mad stats, you could equip it, but then you could change and use a different set of aesthetics so you don't look like a foolish clown. Or you could use that set of aesthetics and, represent, or maybe switch it out for some different colors. Mm. Let's see, do I have anything else to babble? Oh, yes. So, I got all of the crafting stations up that are available right now because Mithril is not really available. Alabaster and Obsidian, they're super rare. I've only seen a few nodes of each. So there might, maybe possibly someone can get the next tier up, but I really doubt. Like I said, I don't know that anybody can find Mithril anywhere. Someone might prove me wrong here, but it's also probably incredibly rare right now. So everything up to that, I've actually got all nice and set um, over on my claim, and that took about, I don't know, maybe 80 to 100 hours. I mean, I spent a lot of time also messing with my claim and looking at stuff and just having a good old time. But keep in mind, this is 80 to 100 hours on easy mode. There are no enemies. We don't have to dig down to find any materials. Um, this is the easiest the game is ever, ever, ever going to get. And it still takes, a hell of a long time for one person solo to do this. Now, when we think about putting everything in the full context of what the game is going to be, getting down in the tier 2 and the tier 3, surviving at night, surviving against creatures, doing everything that you need to do, getting to all the areas, what takes maybe 80 to 100 hours now, and that's starting from basic equipment, not starting from the Trailblazer stuff, because I didn't get that for the first few days. um, it's gonna take a long time for an individual to get even up to the current stuff that we have right now. It might take even 300 hours, up to 500 hours potentially, to get absolutely all the way to the top tier stuff solo, because it isn't just the materials to make the crafting stations you need. You're also going to need a whole hell of a lot of stuff for your weapons and your armor, and potentially consumables like explosives and rocket launchers or fun stuff like that. So I have a lot of interest in seeing how things are going to play out when the difficulty actually goes up, when things are actually all implemented.
when there's creatures, when there's danger, when there's having to dig down to find the tier 3 materials, having to bring a team with you just to find tungsten. Um, but the other thing with that is I really don't intend to do it solo. So when the first actual full wipe happens, I'd really like to set up a community group. Um, I'm gonna look through chat here for just a moment before I fully start getting engaged with that subject. Have different mining harvesting skill for different pickaxes and discovery. Um, I don't know if there would be like mining copper, mining tin, mining, this, mining that, mining that. I don't think there would necessarily be a specific skill for each one. I think they're going to keep it pretty much the way they're going right now. Yeah, Vanderby, it'd be interesting to have creatures actually being able to randomly attack people's stuff. Um, Obviously, people love those creepers in Minecraft, except when it blows up their stuff. But other than that, I love to see what will happen when they actually start putting iron golems in. And someone wakes it up and pisses it off and then runs it through your claim. That's gonna happen. I might personally do that. Is just get an iron golem chasing me and then grapple, 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 grapple. And while it's chasing me, it's just destroying everything behind it. I'm having a big laugh, and other onlookers are having a big laugh. People watching any live stream I might be doing are having a big laugh. And people whose claims are getting destroyed are going, ah, fuck me, buddy. So that'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's the community group. That's something that I'd really love to do. First of all, I mean, it's gonna need some sort of name, so I'd love to have uh, any ideas anybody has for names. Send them to me on Twitter. Send them to me here on Twitch. Hit me up in game. Lenin Luthor, Leninluthor is my current character's name because I was being silly. Um, we could find out, we could figure out a name tonight, but I'd love to figure out some sort of name for whatever kind of group it's going to be. Some sort of community group. Pretty much anybody can join. Limited access to who can actually manage the primary claim, but the primary claim is basically going to be somewhere nice and accessible where everybody can um, you know, build everything they need to. All the crafting stations are going to be there. That'll be the central hub for pretty much the workplace, and if possible, we'll build claims down as far as we can, and basically make our own elevator, so that way we can go into the tier 2 and tier 3 more or less freely as we're ready to. Now there will be fall damage, so we're going to have solutions for that, but we'll figure that out between now and then. Um, Zach and Lavin, hi there. I don't know if we actually will be able to keep our templates from alpha to beta. That depends on A, how the templates are stored, and B, what they're actually going to wipe when we go from alpha to closed beta. Um, it's entirely possible that all of our templates will be completely wiped. Everything will be wiped. Characters will be wiped. I have no idea. On the other hand, we could keep everything we have right now all the way through closed beta, and all of the suggestions that they may have to adjust the claim size could end up being invalidated. And they could find that 70 by 70 by 100, they might have nailed it right on the dot perfectly the first time. It's a pretty decent size right now. I'm happy with it. So, other than the name, and I love the names so far, the Obsidian Order, the Cult of Neverquest, both of those could work. They just the Obsidian Order sounds a little more like weird or secretive or like some sort of exclusivity. I'm not really looking for the exclusivity thing. Same with Cult of Neverquest. While I like the name, uh, Cults. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is a cult to have requests to some extent. So, I mean, that does kind of apply. Palisade. Actually, I was looking more for giant water pools. So when you need to get to the next floor down, you just jump off the side and fall in the water pool, and do some nice deep diving. All right, all right. So one of the things I was thinking about for a group is actually kind of breaking it up into classes almost. Um, So I was thinking like a lumberjack. You want your lumberjacks to have the best axes, particularly right now, the best copper axes available, as well as the highest rings with discovery. Initially keen eye rings, but then you're going to want to replace those with the assessor's mark ASAP. And they're pretty much lumberjacks. They're lumberjacks. They're just chopping wood, chopping wood, chopping wood. Every now and then, when there's a request for wood, they go back to the primary claim, dump off their wood, and one of the people working the tools over there will process it and make the next round of equipment for people. Um, and that's something, because burled wood is shown to be such a necessary material for everything, especially the crafting tables. Um, it's something that you're going to need to have a few really dedicated lumberjacks that can really just chop through that wood, and you want to get them the best axes possible. Legendary copper axe with discovery, hell yes, that's a winner right there. Uh, Lower quality axes, you give those to everybody else. Your miners are probably going to have the next highest quality, and then other people that are doing other jobs will probably get the rest. Not that those will be bad necessarily, especially if we're going to be salvaging down the crappy ones into better ones, or into raw materials just to make better ones. A sift master, somebody that all they're doing is sitting there collecting all the dirt and stone, maybe even going out and meeting a group somewhere that's gone pretty far, collecting their dirt and stone and bringing it back to sift it, put it through the sifter towards materials, towards people's equipment, as well as the crafting stations. They probably don't really need the highest quality tools. They're just running more of an auxiliary role, but there's a good chance they could be doing that on top of another role, and I think that'd be a really good way for somebody to get to go around and explore a little bit, or just be able to dig dirt nearby and throw it through the sifter. Um, All right, John VDC, thank you very much for joining. 3 a.m. That's a late one for you. So have a good night. Thanks for coming. Palace 8, a water slide. Yes, 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 yes. I hope they have features for a water pump of some sort, because having a water slide would just be absolutely awesome, and uh, the envy of many people. But it would be available to the community because it's a whole community project, and the point is for it to be available for everybody, for any player that wants to have fun and get all of their stuff made in one place, and be able to go down to the tier 2 and the tier 3 areas real quickly. That's kind of the point of it. So yeah, having a water slide to have everybody go down from the top to the bottom would be lovely. So another class, the miner. Duh, it's a miner. They're mining stuff. They're gonna have the best picks that are made, and hopefully pretty good picks. As they get through and go to the next tier, they pass their picks down to the next person, because lower materials are still going to be needed. But eventually, it gets to the point where pretty much we just stockpile the things that we don't need, and anybody that needs a lower tier pick or lower tier stuff can get it. If it gets to the point where there's too many, just salvage them all down, raw resources, and do whatever with them. I'd love to use copper picks as a material and just build a wall of copper picks. Just turn copper picks into a voxel type of their own, and just using a paint tool. Yes, miners do need the best light stones. They don't really need, and probably some of the best grappling hooks as well. Um, and that's, the idea is that they're going to be going around. Also, they're going to need probably the best weaponry too. Trees are going to be able to find close to the claim. If anybody's under attack, they can always run back and get help from buddies. But if you're out mining, you might get pretty far out there and you might be kind of stranded, two or three of you, and there might be a lot of enemies coming. So, miners are probably going to need the best weapons and armor of anybody going out in the field. Once lightstones get improved, yeah, it should be really nice. You should be able to just use one of those, and then probably something that grants harvest bonus, or something that improves their mining capabilities in one way or another for the other accessory. But definitely, if you can, legendary picks, especially if you get a legendary pick that it could potentially be upgraded to another tier of something. Just leave it as the legendary pick and give it to someone who's going to be able to mine the lower tier materials faster with it. The idea is that everybody should be able to get the highest tier stuff pretty quickly. Hopefully, within less than a month of live launch, everybody who's involved with it would probably be looking at having top tier stuff, but incrementally it would be making sure the right people have the right stuff. An upgrade manager is another one of the jobs, and that's probably something the Sift Master would actually be working with. Pretty much they're the person who's responsible for collecting all the materials to get from the next crafting station to the next one to the next one to the next one to the next one. And that's just trying to run them out on a conveyor belt until we've got the absolute highest level of crafting stations available in as short a time as possible, or at least getting as high as possible before we're going to have to stop and really take some time to make some kick-ass equipment so we can actually survive getting the next round of materials. And that's actually the fifth job I was thinking was the gear manager, which is somebody who's not only making sure the lumberjacks and miners have the best materials or the best equipment rather for their job, and making sure that everybody's properly armed, um, but really just I guess being the one that's sorting all of the equipment, taking in equipment, giving it out to people who join the group, just starting the game or whatever, that are just looking for a community to roll with. Just load them up with a nice set of copper or tin or whatever equipment, bronze I guess it would be, and let them have at it. Because with that much excess of materials, it shouldn't be a problem. Yes, a hat with a light on it. That would make perfect sense. Or actually, when the picks get higher level, they should just emit a glow of their own because they've got that much awesome magic material in them. That could also be a feature of a relic to be able to apply some sort of a glowing effect to whatever piece of wearable equipment you have. There's the two accessory slots. There's three other slots. I don't remember what they're used for, but I haven't really seen any for them quite yet. So the servers are back up. That's pretty cool. We're at the 1 hour mark. I've really gone through all of my detail, and in fact, some of the stuff I was planning to talk about next week. So I feel like this has been a pretty good rant, pretty well focused. I'm going to finish off the rest of the brew. Spelunkas. Spelunkers. 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 Dirty drunk derpin diggers. Hmm. That could work too. That's pretty good. I don't know. We'll have to keep that one in mind. All right. Well, that's That's pretty much it. It's 6. The servers are up. People are starting to get going. Vanderbeek, that's awesome. Sounds like they've optimized some stuff. That's really really cool. I'm looking for that. Looking forward to that. Opie, how's it going? Opie one, Opie one, however you pronounce that. Welcome. How's it going? All right, I'm gonna finish this last little bit of beer. I'm gonna put the image viewer back up with the title slide for the episode here. Gonna put the music back on, and I'll probably keep chatting for a little bit. But I thank everybody, each and every one of you, for joining, and I will see you all in game. So here's the image viewer. Here's the title slide. Oh, if you want to catch the link down there, that's organically us-wiki edible succulent plants cactus barrel or hyphen barrel cactus fire barrel. Yeah, just to be academic about it. Yeah. All right, here we go. Title slide. I'm cutting my microphone so you don't hear an echo.